Right.
Y'all said he sold a house,
He sold the house.
34 Fairview.
34 Fairview, the home that he raised his family in, and the home that he was raised in.
But what's the issue with him selling it?
Why are you all of a sudden getting rid of your family home?
Well, if there was a murder on the property, or if there was a death that happened on the property, right? And now people are accusing you, blaming you, your whole family is now at danger because I could go over there if I believe they really are framing her, and I could go harm them because hey, I know where you live. I'm going to make sure I handle justice. So that could scare some men into selling their homes. No?
It could, but would it scare a very decorated Boston police officer who was the head of the fugitive unit,
That's a
who
good
went
point.
and apprehended some of the worst criminals that have come into Boston?
Good point. But now they all know where he lived. All of them.
That was all public record before.
But there are officers saying they didn't know that he lived there. Like they like, do you know whose home that was? No, I didn't. So if they didn't know, he may feel emboldened, like, oh, the criminals don't know.
However,
Uh huh.
a lot of the first responders that showed up that night are also not going to throw somebody under the bus. The Albert family is a very well known family in Canton. They are very well connected. And I can say this, so I grew up in Norfolk County. I grew up in one of the surrounding towns of Canton. I know what it's like when there is a well connected family that everybody knows about. His brother is a detective on Canton PD. His other brother is a select on the board of selectmen for Canton.
Mm.
Everyone knows who the Alberts are.
See, and the thing is, I know, I know some about the case, but I didn't really know about the Alberts. They weren't that important to me. I just felt like the crime happened on their home, but I didn't know they were like bosses like that. They just look corrupt to me. When I look at Brian Albert's face, he just looks like a corrupt man that's really cold. He has no feelings, no emotions, nothing.
No.
But
And I
he's
think,
connected.
oh, he is very, very well connected. I would say that the Alberts are probably one of the most influential families in Canton.
Oh wow. Oh,
So,
so it makes sense.
yes, his brother, who was on the Canton Board of Selectmen, had the current chief of police, Helena Rafferty, and the former chief of police, Ken Berkowitz. They all backed him when he was running to become a select board member. So everybody knows who the Alberts are. One of the paramedics that responded, I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Allie,
No,
Allie McLaughlin. No.
McLaughlin, Katie McLaughlin.
Oh, Kate. Okay.
She's claiming she didn't, that this address didn't stick out to her. But it's also come out because there's been so many internet sleuths that have looked into all of the connections within this case.
Hmm.
She is very good friends with Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert's daughter, who was in the home when all of this happened. So for her to say that they were loose acquaintances that went to high school together is nothing but perjury and a bold-faced lie.
So wait, what do you think is going to happen to her? Like, if it is perjury, right? Because you're saying it is perjury. What
Yep.
is going to happen to her? Are these people going to get penalized also or not?
So the FBI is all over this case.
Okay.
They when so when Karen Reed was arrested, she took on David Yannetti as her attorney. Once she started to look into what was happening with her, she realized very quickly that she was up against a very influential family and a lot of connections that could make it. They thought that she was going to take a plea deal and that this was just going to be over and done with. She she is her best advocate on this case because she has just looked into so much of all of these connections within people. That's when she went and she retained Alan Jackson out of Los Angeles and Eliza Little. And she retained them because Alan Jackson is known for cell phone extractions and getting a lot of information based off of people's cell phones. Once they joined the case, they're the ones that went to the US Attorney's Office and they said there is something to be looked into here.
Mm.
The feds, I'm sure they get a million things a day that they are going to look into, or that they're going to say, this is insanity. We're not even going to touch this. The feds then started investigating the investigators of this case.
Ooh.
And they still are investigating. This is still an open case with the FBI right now.
So all right. So why are people sitting here? To me, it's blatant lies. It feels as if they don't care. Like, yeah, I'm lying, and what? Like, okay, this didn't happen. That. Why do they feel so powerful if the FBI is like focused on them?
Because I think that they thought that Karen Reed was just going to turn over and take a plea deal and make all of it go away for them. I mean, during trial too, Jen McCabe admitted that she lied to the FBI when they showed up at her door.
Oh, she did admit that.
She did.
But what was the lie?
Who she had spoken to um, after the case, all the people that she talked with, and then she called her husband and she said, the FBI just showed up at the door. This is what I said to them. And he said, you better call them back and let them know you just lied to them.
Mm.
I mean, if the Alberts and the McCabe have nothing to hide, and Brian Higgins, why did all of them lawyer up?
Wait.
If they're just witnesses to a crime, why did they all lawyer up immediately?
Look, let me play this, and I want your reaction, and then I'm gonna ask Tanisha her reaction also.
Okay.
Just pay attention and let me know. Just pay attention.
And you did not see a 217-pound man bleeding out on the side of the road, in the lawn, or in the yard, just to your right by that flagpole, correct?
If I did,
I didn't ask
would
you
have
if
done
you
something
did.
to help him.
I asked you if you saw one.
No, I did not.
And that's because there was no body there, correct?
I didn't see anything.
Because if there was a body there, you certainly...
All right. What do you take from that? The way he just acted.
I think that first of all, I think that he was shook to be questioned by Alan Jackson. He had his attorney in the courtroom as this was going on. And I think that he was trying to, A, not answer the question, and B, separate himself by, he was probably trying to avoid a perjury by dancing around the question that was being asked to him.
Tanisha, what you think?
To me, he looked like he was guilty. He looked like he was about to cry.
Mm-hmm.
He even did that, when he just like took like I don't know. He just looked like he was about to cry, and he looked like like when I see that, I just feel like he did it. That's how I see it, as that he did it. He's feeling guilty, and he feels like this chick, Karen Reed, is going to be found innocent, and they're going to come after me. Like, eventually, they are going to find out it's me. I just feel like and you got to understand, these people were also like officers. They're also trained they're also trained to question people and find out, like, okay, what do they do? Are they lying? They look this way. So they're trained to like read people, I feel like, in some way when they're questioning them. So I also feel like in the beginning, when Alan Jackson was asking him questions, he looked straight at him. He was just very, I don't know. It's just the way that he looked when he first asked the question. He just, like Megan said, shook, but it was like, let me not make any type of facial cues so that way you won't think anything of me, because everybody's watching him now.
Yeah, I think that he was trying to stay as poised and as confident as he could be, but the world is watching, and the world knows a lot of things that he probably in his own personal life never thought was ever going to see the light of day. And now it's being read out loud in a courtroom and he's being questioned. And he has a guilty conscience.
See, I saw it a little different. And when he did that, it seemed as if he started feeling guilty that I'm just saying, allegedly, he took John O'Keefe's life. It looked like he didn't mean to take his life. It felt as if he started feeling guilty in the moment, and it just hit him because he looked over to Karen, and it was like, I can't even look at her. Then he put his head down, and I don't feel bad for the guy, but at that moment, I felt bad as a friend. If I wanted to fight my friend because he tried to take my wife, my girl, and it's just a fight, and then I end up taking his life, and now I'm trying to cover it up and frame somebody else. The weight of the world crashed on him, and like y'all said, he know he's lying. Well, allegedly, no, he's lying, and the FBI. I didn't know the FBI was in on this. David said the FBI gave both the defense and prosecution 3,000 pages of evidence, including Proctor's text. So he know. I don't know. I just hope we find out what's happening. But can y'all introduce yourselves?
I'll go first. All right. I'm Megan.
And I'm Tenisha. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all I have to say. I'm Megan. I grew up in Norfolk County. I have been following this case since it pretty much first came out. August of 2023 is when I first started following the case, and it has consumed my life from then on.
I'm Tenisha, and I just started following the case during the second trial. And I work alongside Megan, so we talk about the case, and she gives me all the insights, but I've been trying to keep up with everything. Yep.
Well, welcome everyone to Hold Up. Y'all heard Megan, y'all heard Tanisha, and I didn't know anything about this. I just thought she was guilty. Truth be told, when Tanisha told me, I'm like, I need more evidence. She sound guilty, and I had another live in mind because I had reasons I felt she was guilty, and I'm like, I want to sit here and hear why y'all think she's innocent, why she's being framed. And upon doing research, my mind, I'm not a fool. I can't sit there and just assume something that's clearly in front of me. Like, no, she's being framed. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to just say it with 100% certainty, but she's being framed. So I had to ask AI to give me reasons AI believes she was guilty, and I want y'all to just give y'all cases against AI because AI believes she's guilty, and AI was trying to convince me she was guilty. So I'll give y'all the first reason, and I'll start with Megan, then I'll go to you, Tanisha.
Light fragment forensics. AI claim. Geospatial forensics show Karen Reed's SUV arrived with a freshly shattered right rear lamp, matching fragments collected at 34 Fairview Road. Probability of coincidental match, 0.003%.
All right, the taillight fragment. What do y'all have to say for that? If they found pieces of the taillight after, they started blowing it with the leaf blower, it was underneath all the snow. What do y'all have to say for that?
If her taillight got smashed the way they're claiming it did when she made contact with John O'Keefe's body, how come when they started investigating, and again, I use that term very loosely, they went and they pulled camera footage from the Canton Library? Coincidentally, the 2 minutes that Karen Reed drove past the Canton Library, which would have showed a shattered taillight, was missing. And not only that, but a shattered taillight is not going to go all over a lawn. If it's going to shatter, it's going to shatter where the impact was made. It's not going to fly all over the place. And there's ring camera footage from when Karen Reed went to go look for John O'Keefe in the snow. She backed out of his garage and she made contact with his car. That's where the cracked tail light came in. And then when her car is towed from her parents' house in Dayton, they had to, as a courtesy, they're calling it, call the Dayton police to say, we're coming down, we're towing this car. That police officer who responded just to help coordinate said that taillight was not shattered. So he's not in on this cover up, this fix. He was just there to state facts. It wasn't on any of the footage from when they towed her car. When her car was brought into the Sallyport at Canton PD, the state police produced an inverted video into evidence. Where all of a sudden people are missing from the video, bodies are jumping around, and you see Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, walk away from the car with a black file folder. That's where that taillight came from. They smashed it when it was in the Sallyport, and he went and he sprinkled all of the taillight fragments all over the lawn.
Megan, let me ask you, have you ever ran into technology doing anything bogus where it didn't perform the way it should perform?
Not in a police department, I haven't.
No, I'm not asking about police department. Have you ever, like a computer, a TV, anything technology-wise, has it ever malfunctioned?
Yeah.
Okay, how come it couldn't happen in that situation where it's making people seem as if they're appearing and reappearing? Why is that like out of this world?
It's not even that people were appearing and reappearing. The video was backwards.
And what does that do?
And so it tried to make it show that when people were surrounding her car, they were on one side of it, which was not the taillight that was smashed, when in fact they were standing directly in front of this taillight that was supposedly smashed.
All right, wait. You say you know Canton, right? Are the people from Canton, is something wrong with them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's what it seemed like. Even Sergeant Buchanan, it seemed like something's wrong with him. And I'm not trying to judge people that way, but it just seemed as if something's wrong with the whole town. Like something's in the water where they don't understand that we can see them. We can tell like something's wrong with them.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been a sad reality to see that the community that I grew up in, you don't ever want to think that police are going to cover things up, that they're going to frame people. You think that when you call the police, they are there to serve and protect, exactly what they are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see blatant things like this where it seems as though they just think that everybody else is idiots and that we're just going to believe whatever they're putting out. And I know because, again, I grew up in Norfolk County in a small town. You know, I mean, I know a bunch of people that are on the police force in the town I grew up in. I knew that if I got a ticket, I could call up the people I knew on the police department, and there goes that ticket. So if you're connected to the right people, things will go away. I mean, this was, like you said, I don't think that this was something that was planned. I think it's something that happened and they jumped into cover-up mode immediately.
But all right, what do you think was planned? Do you think they planned to fight him? Do you think it just was spontaneous, or like?
I think it was a long day after a lot of drinking and a fight broke out.
So at the waterfall bar, right? What was the situation with Brian Higgins and Chris Albert, where Chris Albert was grabbing his arm? Like, what was that about? Because it seemed as if Brian Higgins had issues with. Well, matter of fact, we'll get to that because there's something.
I was going to say I would like to hear what Tenisha has to say about
we'll get to that.
The AI.
I'm sorry. I just don't like, she had to be going really fast, like reverse really fast to get that rear light like shattered like that and to hit him that hard. It just doesn't make sense. I just can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like the impact had to been so like overwhelmed. Like that had to be a strong impact. And for her not to notice like she hit something or someone, I to me it just doesn't make sense. And the reason why I think they can get away with this is because a police officer was murdered. A police officer was murdered. And right there, you already know they're gonna like it's they represent the brothers in blue. They want to find whoever they want justice for this person. So for them, they probably thought she's Karen's getting all the blame for it, and it's just gonna go away. They didn't. I don't think they thought this was going to be like it was going to be taken this far. Like I really think they thought that somebody was going to find her guilty because it's like, okay, you killed a police officer, justice has to be served. We're going to blame somebody, and it's going to be Karen.
And that's where
I
Jen comes in. Jen seemed as if she was part of the cover up where it was like, okay, let me just try to convince her that it was her who did it so she can, and she's dirty for that. McKay, she's dirty for that.
And
yeah.
supposedly she didn't even call her sister who was in the house.
Not only,
Jen?
but yeah, her sister Nicole. But when her cell phone was looked over, she had, aside from her Google search that was deleted, 18 calls were deleted. Why do you have to
18.
delete your calls?
Well, she said she deleted some calls from her kids. Well, she said text. She deleted some of that from her kids. Were those 18 calls like calls that she made to John or the Alberts? Was that
I think
ever released?
I don't think that it was ever released who, and if it was, then I'm not aware of who the calls were made to, but I do know that two of them were to, yeah, something was released. Two of them were to her sister.
Okay, David, let us know. But you said two was to her sister
Yeah.
inside of the home.
Yep.
That's sad. Was Karen, they knew Karen through John or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So she was just like a throwaway. Like, okay.
She was an outsider to that community. John O'Keefe was a part of the community. Karen Reed was an outsider. I don't even think they thought this was going to go to trial. They probably thought that she was going to plead out and it was all going to go away.
Got him. That's not what happened. And
That's no.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that feel she's guilty. And I could tell you my mindset when I thought she was guilty. I heard the taillight stuff, and I know y'all say it's a dog bite. I get it. But I was like, I'm not fooled. I was like, I could see how if the taillight was shattered, it can cause some punctures. I was just trying to make her guilty. Where everything I heard, I was like, nah. Everything I heard, I'm gonna bring up the cell tower data that AI wants to know about. But everything I heard, I felt she was guilty. But David said calls were made to Coco and other Alberts. I don't really know who Coco is.
That's Nicole Albert. That's what they call
Oh,
her.
that's what they, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, so did they not understand that the calls, even if you delete it,
It
good
just got messy.
job.
They
Good
didn't think it
job.
would get this far. That's the thing. They didn't
True.
think it was gonna it was gonna go this far.
True.
So they just and even her search, it was just I don't know. Like they didn't think that they would ever been looked at. Um, yeah.
But why would she search? See, because they said she just opened up the tab. She never performed a search. So, but why would a person who's like married to a cop search something like that? No, okay, like you said, she thought it was just going to be okay, 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 okay. I'm going to take it to the next inquiry.
Tower data and timeline precision. AI claim. Phone ping logs place Karen's phone leaving the party within 3 minutes of O'Keefe's final ping, indicating her vehicle was in motion at the exact collapse window. No alternative credible suspects in that 180-second window.
Okay. So cell tower data says what it just said. How do you defend that? If it suggests that she was there when he was hit, like she was the only one around him really to have done that.
So her phone also connected back to John O'Keefe's Wi-Fi at, I believe it was 12:31, maybe. It's at best, in perfect driving conditions, an 8-minute ride from 34 Fairview to One Meadow. It took her longer because she was driving in a snowstorm. If she was to go back and have her phone connect back to his Wi-Fi at 12:31, there is no way she could have hit his body, sent him flying, and then gotten back that quickly.
That's
And
so obvious.
right. And not only that, but like there's been a lot of disputed evidence with a lot of the cell phone data in this case. It also shows that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview. His Apple Health data shows him ascending and descending 3 flights of stairs between 12:22 and 12:24. How was he doing that if he should have been dead on a lawn? In the first trial, the way the Commonwealth defended that was the road that he was driving on was a hilly road. It was Oak Street. They said that it was a hilly road, and that's why his phone picked up that he was ascending and descending 3 flights of stairs.
Who said that?
The Trooper Nick Guarino,
Oh, okay. Another liar.
another shady state trooper.
See, but you know what, Tanisha,
That
do you have a response to?
I mean, I could see how, okay, her phone pings, but there is that other data that shows that he did take like 80 something steps. Like I think what happened was because Jen McCabe kept texting him to find out where he was. Like somebody was out that like looking out the window waiting for him. And as soon as he walked in, they went in on him. That's my take. I think it was quick.
But that's dirty, man.
I find it hard to believe, and I also heard, but of course I don't know this because this is not a fact. When you actually drive by 34 Fairview, the distance like from where his body was to the door is actually a much smaller distance than what it portrays in pictures. Like people have driven by and they're just like, yeah, it's not what people think it is. It's not like his body was far from the door. It's the pictures make it seem like you couldn't really see him when you walked out the door. I just find it hard that all those people left the house and they didn't see him and it was just a dusting. It wasn't like he was buried under all this snow. Like when
no,
everybody was
the
leaving.
snow had just started.
Yeah.
I mean, John O'Keefe was 6'2", 170 pounds. That's a
No,
large man.
216.
I mean, 200, yes. He is a large man.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
So for his body to not be noticed by 11 people that left the house that night is wild.
Yeah.
All right, so David says something. Last phone interaction with his phone was 12:32 per Ian Whiffen, and she connected to Officer O'Keefe's Wi-Fi at 12:36. So no chance 4-minute ride in snowstorm. That's true. The last one AI have. After that, there's something I need answered myself. I still believe she's 98% being framed, but there's just a couple things where I'm like, I just want to hear what y'all have to say.
Spatter and injury pattern analysis. AI claim 3D injury mapping software reconstructs blunt force trauma angles. The bruising on O'Keefe's right arm, 76 degrees from horizontal, exactly matches the bumper height of a Lexus RX SUV when backed into a stationary body. Combined with QUART scan data showing hypothermia's secondary role, the model gives a 95% confidence that he was struck by a moving vehicle, not beaten inside.
All right, there was a doctor who said, I believe it was a doctor, I could be wrong. The little lip on the back of the Lexus, it seemed like it could have hit in the back of his head, and maybe he fell forward and hit his head and blah, blah, blah. And he had a bruise on either the front or the back of his knee. With what AI just said, do you have an answer for that, or you just feel like, nah, they're lying, it's not
There
true?
was the injuries on John O'Keefe's body were 2 black eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He had defense wounds on his hands, consistent with him being in a fight, a 3-inch laceration on the back of his skull, and the dog bites on his arm. And no, but if a car was coming back, and first of all, he would have to be standing there watching this car come barreling towards him.
What if he was text messaging, or like he had his phone in his hand?
No, they're saying that he had his arm stretched out with a glass in his hand.
Stretched out.
Yep, that's what the latest the
Yo.
latest expert has to say. The one who cosplayed John O'Keefe by buying his exact outfit that he was wearing.
Yeah, that was weird to me. That was very
That
weird.
it was creepy.
Yeah. Well, like, why are you doing that?
And
You're wearing exactly what he was wearing. Weird.
yeah, like that was very weird. And not only that, but he would have to be standing there with his arm stretched out in order for this car to come back and impact him. Yeah, they didn't account for the curb. They didn't account for the lawn. It goes up. So they didn't account for any of that when John O'Keefe was apparently struck by this car and thrown onto a lawn.
They have to investigate all of their cases, because something like this is a little too when y'all say it, it seems obvious. But like I said, I thought they were guilty. I thought she was guilty, even though it's so obvious. Like when you dig into it, it's like, wait, because Tanisha just was 100% sure. I wasn't. Were you gonna say something?
The FBI hired ARCA to come in and investigate this for 2 reasons: to see if John O'Keefe was hit by a car, and to see if Karen Reed's car hit a human. They were hired by the feds, who were then retained by the defense, who went on and said there is absolutely no way this injury could have happened the way the Commonwealth is trying to portray it to happen.
Also, yeah, she's gonna be freed.
But what Judge Bev Canoni, who is in on this fix, she won't allow the defense to say the FBI is investigating this. She won't allow them to say the experts that we hired, we got them because the Federal Bureau of Investigations hired them.
But why do you
She's
think
just-
she won't? Why do you think though? Like, why do you think she won't allow that?
Because she wants this to be, I think a lot of this is very politically connected. They wanted somebody to take accountability, and they wanted an open and shut case. So whatever information the judge can withhold that's going to help the Commonwealth and hurt the defense, she has been ruling ridiculously in favor of the Commonwealth. To say that Karen Reed is getting a fair trial is bananas. Because not only that, in the first case, she was acquitted of a murder charge. But the judge didn't say that. So she's actually facing double jeopardy right now.
Oh, wow. So wait, that's a fact? She was acquitted?
Yes, there have been jurors that have come out since trial 1 ended. They have signed affidavits stating that they acquitted her on these charges. There was 3 of the charges. She was acquitted on 2 of them.
I'm
But
at
the judge
99% now.
The judge didn't say that. The judge just said they can't come up with anything, mistrial.
Oh, wow. See, I believe they're doing that because it's more expensive to get rid of these officers and try to hire new people to trust to do the grimy stuff that they need done. So it's easier to just put Karen Reed in prison. So I understand why they're doing it. But at this point, you should know it's over. Like all
I
of you
mean,
lying, it's over.
why can't they get the state of Massachusetts has hundreds of district attorneys. How come nobody will take the case? And they had to hire a special prosecutor, Hank Brennan, to come in and try to prosecute this case.
Wait, you said they just hired this person?
The lead person for the Commonwealth, Hank Brennan, he's not employed by the state of Massachusetts. He's a criminal defense attorney
Oh,
who defended Whitey Bulger.
oh wait. Can
He's
you explain
made
that case? Because I heard about that. Not explain it, but did he win that case?
I think he got him. I mean, no, he didn't win it because Whitey Bulger ended up going to prison. But I think he got him off on a lot of the charges.
Okay.
And I mean, he was going to jail for life no matter what because of all of the corruption and all of his connections. But I think that he went in and he made a case for Whitey Bulger, and that's where Hank Brennan got his name, was defending Whitey Bulger. And
That's
now
a
he's
good
made.
thing?
I mean, if you want to be a criminal defense attorney, that's your claim to fame, is defending one of the most notorious gangsters that has been in our history and in Massachusetts.
Megan,
And
let me. Oh no, you keep going. After I'm going to
they
ask
have
you
paid
something.
him. They have paid Hank Brennan upwards of $230,000 worth of my tax money, because I currently live in Norfolk County. This is what my tax money is going towards. One of the expert that cosplayed John O'Keefe, the Commonwealth had paid him $400,000 to come in and testify. They're spending lots of money in order to try and make their case, and they still can't do it. They're still embarrassing themselves.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment. But how do you all right? How do you answer for his niece, John O'Keefe's niece, saying how he wanted her out? He wanted Karen Reed out of the house. He didn't want to be with her anymore, and she just felt cold. She just felt a cold feeling towards Karen Reed. How do you explain that?
I mean, I think, first of all, I think it was grimy that the Commonwealth made the niece go in and testify. But she was very young. So people that are in relationships are going to argue. And after all of the text messages that were revealed between Karen and John O'Keefe leading up to the day of this murder, just showed an absolutely toxic relationship. So yeah, he was saying to her one day that he wants her out. He was saying to her that night, come in and get snowed in with me and the kids this weekend. Come stay in Canton with me. Leave your home in Mansfield. And why aren't you here with us? So, I mean, I think it was their relationship, I think, was probably on the outs. She was feeling used by him. I mean, John O'Keefe was, it seems, a big drinker, a big partier. He stepped up. His life entirely changed when he had to take custody of his niece and nephew. That wasn't what he was a bachelor. He was living over in Dorchester, being a cop, living his life. And then very, very tragically, his sister and his brother-in-law die within 3 months of each other. His other brother, who already has an established family, it just made sense for John O'Keefe to step up.
Now,
Yeah, and I mean, that night, John O'Keefe was out with one of the niece's dad's friends because they were celebrating the two girls getting into Bishop Fee in high school. Now all of this happens, and Jen McCabe convinces the grandmother to not send her to Bishop Fee in high school, a very prestigious Catholic school, and she stayed in the Canton public school system.
wait, what? How did Jen McKay have that influence?
Because she's grimy. I mean, I think I feel really, really, really badly for what John O'Keefe's family has had to live through. during these last 2 years. And I think that his mother, after, like, she has just tragically watched her children pass away in front of her. And I think that she is just willing to believe whatever is going to give justice, and that term is used very loosely, but she has very blindly followed. I mean, if your child was killed and you have all of these people in your ear saying, oh, well, we heard her say I hit him, they were fighting, look at these text messages, that, like, follow this shoddy evidence, and you are just willing to believe whatever is going to make you feel good at night. I think it was easy to be influenced by Jen McCabe, who tries to portray herself as this sweet, innocent woman who actually is pretty diabolical.
True, that's a good point. But all right, Tanisha, how do you explain Karen Reed going to the house, John O'Keefe's house, immediately, like after everything, the hospital, and just taking things out of the house? How's that explained?
If it went the way that the mother is saying it did, that's messed up. Like, her son just died. That was somebody you've been dating for 2 years and not say anything. However, there could have been things that led up to that. Like, there could have been words that were exchanged, and we're just seeing a piece. We're just hearing about that little piece where she went inside the house. There could have been a conversation. You know what I mean? Like, but if Karen just walked in the house and just went up in the rooms and just started taking things and didn't say anything to the mother, I mean, everybody was in their feelings. It was like, so she could have done that, but like, everybody's in their feelings. She could have seen that the mother was talking to her granddaughter and grandson who are devastated. Their whole life just changed. Now an uncle's been, like, dead. You know what I mean? Karen is devastated too. Like, did I hit him? Like, who knows what she was thinking, and I just think that just emotions were high at that time. And I'm sure if she can go back, she probably would change things. I mean, I'm hoping that she would want to change things, but I also think that there could be a piece missing that we just don't know about. We just can't see. But then again, the mom she wants justice for her son, and all these people are in her ear, and she's just going to roll with the punch. Like, nothing makes sense, but the mother is not seeing it. It seems like the mother is just oblivious to, like, what's being presented in court.
Megan, why did Karen kiss Brian Higgins on the camera? Like, she know where the camera's at. Like, if that's your boyfriend, you know where the cameras are positioned.
It wasn't on the camera, and she said that in her text messages, that she knew where the camera was. She kissed him in the garage outside of the view of the camera. The only thing John O'Keefe saw on the camera was her walking him out the door.
Okay,
and I think that their relationship was, like I said, it was already on the outs. They were fighting a lot. Karen was feeling like she was here trying to help him out with this huge role that he's had to take on to be a father. And she's been left with the kids while he's out having fun. And I think that she was seeking some validation elsewhere, which isn't the right thing to do. But I mean, they had a trip to Aruba the month prior to this where she was up in the room with the kids while he was out partying. She walks downstairs and she sees somebody kissing John O'Keefe. And she has a very public confrontation with this woman. And I think that there was a lot of toxicity in their relationship. There was a lot of back and forth on, are we going to be together? Are we not? I mean, in the text messages that came out during this trial, she had said to him plenty of times, if you want to end it, let me know and I will walk away. She was willing to walk away with her head held high. If she was to then decide all of a sudden, now is my perfect chance to murder him in front of the home of another police officer, why would she be calling him all night, leaving nasty voicemails? I mean, I've seen in plenty of other cases, somebody that wants to cover up a murder that they just committed they're not going to leave voicemails screaming at somebody. They're going to leave voicemails saying, "Where are you? I'm hoping that you're able to
point.
make it home safely in the snowstorm tonight." Not calling him a perv, not accusing him of being with other women. I mean, she was going crazy that night. And I think that what she had going on with Brian Higgins, she was seeking validation elsewhere. She saw that this man's just an idiot and was going to give it to her. And then when one of her fights with John is over, she completely ignores him. And that's what got him pissed off. He's thinking that he's going to be starting something with this intelligent, beautiful woman. And then she goes back to her boyfriend she's been complaining to him about. And she sees them all lovey-dovey in a bar. And he's trying to text her like, "Are you going to even acknowledge that I'm here?" I mean, his text said, well, and she continued to ignore it. That's when the footage was captured of him pointing and yelling and Chris Albert holding him back. And I think, like Tenisha said, that was the start of everything. Then John O'Keefe gets invited back to this house. Karen said, "I don't want to go. I don't know these people. I want to go home." He goes in the house, a confrontation happens, a fight breaks out, and then I don't think that it was something planned, but it was large grown men fighting each other. He hits his head and they panic and they go into cover-up mode.
But all right, this is I want, because it leads to what you're saying. Can you answer this? I just want to know, why did she do this?
And more. Safe? Like I am private. Don't talk out of school with what I do or who I hang with. Do I aggravate you? Haha, no. According to John, you may occasionally talk out of school. He said that about me? But that's none of my business. With respect to what exactly? None of my biz. So then why invite me to your house party? Now I am aggravated.
All right. Why did she do that? I would like to know that. Why did she mention that situation and just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just, it's not my business. Why did she do that?
Probably to get him going.
But why?
I mean, both men and women do a lot of things when it comes to their relationships, when it comes to a lot of different things that they should not be doing. And I think at that point, that's when things were not great between her and John. And she was probably just trying to stir some shit up. I mean, I don't think that she is this perfect human. I think that she has made plenty of mistakes. That doesn't mean that she killed him. And I also don't think that she set him up to be killed. I think that, like I said, I think that she was seeking validation elsewhere. And she was trying to say, like, I don't know, doesn't seem to me like you know how to keep your mouth shut. That's what I've heard. So if she's going to start to see him on the side, she's saying, I've heard from my boyfriend, you don't know how to keep your mouth shut. And whether she pissed him off or not, I mean, I think that was probably just a nice little added bonus that, like, she's just stirring that pot.
Tenisha, how you feel about that?
Yeah, I think she was just, again, like in her feelings and just starting something. To me, like those texts are just like, but why do that to your boyfriend? You know what I mean? Maybe they were at the end of the road. Maybe they were ending, like she just figured, like Megan said, like she's just trying to get some attention, trying to play, try to see what's out there. But two, it's like she just didn't realize how much trouble that would have eventually started. Like completely oblivious to it. And yeah.
But how come y'all feel she wasn't part of, like, you know what, I'm going to set him up to be hurt, because I've heard Brian Higgins is a loose cannon, and this is going to rile him up to do something to John, because you know what, he shouldn't have been doing what he did in Aruba, and I don't appreciate that. He's trying to get rid of me. He's trying to kick me out of. I can't even come to the house. I've been taking care of the niece and the nephew, and he's just going to discard me. Why can't that be the possible? Like, why can't that be reality as to what happened?
I think that if that was the reality, they would have had a much stronger case against her. And they would have been able to prove that she tried to set all of this up. I mean, if that was the case, why did both Brian Higgins and Brian Albert destroy their cell phones the day before an order was to come out for them to preserve their cell phones? Which is something they found out because they are so well connected. Steve Nelson, the victim advocate, tipped them off in order for them to get rid of their cell phones. Brian Higgins took his SIM card out of his phone, threw them away in 2 different trashes on an Air Force base down the Cape.
Is it possible
What?
he had child video? I always ask this. Is it possible he had child video on his phone that he shouldn't have had that could land him in prison for life? Is that possible? Something that like disgusting.
I think
on
he
his
had
phone?
something on his phone that could land him in prison for life, but I don't think that it was anything that had to do with kids.
No, but I'm saying it could be anything almost. So I believe it had to do with Karen Reed, to be honest, because I was at 98% before we started speaking. Y'all moved me to 99%. I'm almost at 100, where I feel like there's no way possible she is not being framed. Like, I'm almost there. But if they were like to show me some type of proof and say, hey, she is guilty, I don't know if I'm 100% positive. Like, I'm 100%. She's not guilty. And Tanisha, when you told me, I was like, I need more evidence. I didn't want to hear anything. I just needed more evidence, because I'm like, okay, this is a woman just trying to get away with being mad that he was leaving her. And then I just started doing research, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, they are literally framing her in front of all of our face. And there are people that refuse to believe it. Like,
Yeah.
refuse to believe it. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I think a majority of the people that refuse to believe it are a lot of people, sadly enough, that are from Canton and that are refusing to acknowledge that this family that is so well known in their community was able to set something up like this. I mean, Brian Higgins' car was also parked there. If she was to back up and hit John O'Keefe, she would have hit his Jeep first.
Mm-hmm.
And you have half the people testifying that his Jeep was there, half the people testifying that his Jeep wasn't there.
Well, didn't he say he was there? He admitted to being there. And what is it? Ryan Nagel, him and his girlfriend, they saw her when she was there, and they didn't see a guy in the car. So if they got there around the same time she got there, obviously John went in the house, and Karen was probably just sitting there getting her text messages before she started driving. Like, let me just text what I got to text, or let me just look at my phone. So this is so obvious. I don't even understand why it's a case, to be honest. I don't understand why it's a case. But like David said, it is true. It's not about how great of a human Karen is, because that is, with seeing the text messages, is like, oh my God, she's wrong for that. It's not about her she's being framed. Like, they are framing her. They are framing her for a crime they allegedly did. I can't say they definitely did it, but I feel in my heart they 100% did. I'm happy I brought this to me, because I would have always just assumed she was guilty. And I know someone we know who believes she's guilty because she's always not always smiling, not in court, but there's times she's smiling, she's happy. And it's like, wait, so you may sit in prison for the rest of your life and you're just happy like that? I couldn't understand that before I started doing research. I'm like, why is she smiling? Is this like funny to her? I refuse to think she was innocent because of that. And the person we know, it's an older person. She's like, nah, she's too happy. And that's after I realized she's being framed. It was like, nah, she's innocent. Like, she's just probably happy other people believe she's innocent, opposed to she felt the whole world was coming down on her. And it's like, nah, we know you're innocent. Like, you are innocent and you're going to
Yeah,
be freed.
I mean, if I were in her position, I would be walking into court with my head held high as well, and I would be smiling as well. Like I think it's almost to prove to everyone looking at her that thinks that she's guilty that she's not going to allow them to break her. She is going to walk in there. She's going to be her best advocate, her best attorney. I mean, her attorneys have said nobody knows this case better than her herself, and she has no legal background.
Oh, wow.
She's the one that unfolded all of the connections between Michael Proctor and the Albert family. Colin Albert was the ring bearer in Michael Proctor, the lead investigator in his sister's wedding. And he went on trial and he went on the stand and he said, I don't know them. I mean, that right there, you should.
Wait, who said that?
Michael Proctor.
He said, I don't know.
He said, I don't know these people.
Yo, what's wrong with these people?
I think
Michael Proctor's mom commented on a Facebook post saying that the Alberts were their second family. Would you say that about a stranger?
I think because they're too deep. I think they just get away with too much, that they were going to get away with this. They're well connected. Like you said, they're well connected in the town. And they just thought people are going to back us up. We're influential. And they've probably gotten away with a lot of things. And then, newsflash, that's not the case. So
wait, she's been sitting in jail the whole time?
No, because her parents took out a second mortgage on her home in order to post her $100,000 bail.
Okay.
So she didn't have to. They've gotten $50,000 of that money back. But at this point, her legal team is working pro bono for her. I mean, there's been, and the newest attorney on the case, Bob Alessi, he bills at $1,800 an hour. An attorney like that is not going to take on a pro bono case for something that he doesn't believe in.
See, I didn't know they didn't have to prove she didn't do it. I didn't know that. When they were saying the defense doesn't have to prove she didn't do it. The prosecution has to prove she did it. Then, all right, so this is going to be like, there's no way they can prove she did it when she didn't do it. So, okay, I was getting riled up thinking like, oh my God, that she's going to sit in prison she's not going to sit in prison. They haven't proven anything to me. They actually, watching their testimonies, their star witnesses, it actually proved to me that, wait, she didn't do it. The more they were trying to show she did it, the less I believed it.
Yeah.
I didn't need to hear the defense. All I needed to hear was what they were presenting. And I'm like, oh man, y'all lying. Like, you coached them to say that lie. They didn't say that the first time. Now it's ridiculous. Easy question.
I mean, their theory is just they're going to toss whatever they can out there, and they're going to see what sticks. If they had proof that she did this, they would have an open and shut case. They have changed a lot of what they have said. They've changed it from trial 1 to trial 2. They've changed the distance that she backed up. They changed the speed in which she backed up. They changed how he was hit, how his body ended up on the lawn. They don't, because this is such an unprovable case that they're trying to prove.
Wait,
and
who's the lead investigator?
Michael Proctor, the one that has now been fired.
Yeah, all right, so he's fired. So can they still call him? Or
Yeah,
they don't want
I mean,
to? They don't want to.
The Commonwealth certainly doesn't want to.
Yeah, they don't want to. That would hurt them.
And the defense, he's on the witness list for the defense. I don't think that they are going to call him, but they just last week they put in a new motion for supplemental witnesses. They're going to call in order to confirm text messages. So his group text to all of his high school buddies, they're now going to be called.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to have to confirm we were all in on this group chat where he was saying this is an open and shut case. The one of his friends said, isn't the homeowner going to get some shit for a cop being found dead on his lawn? And he said, nope, he's a Boston cop himself. There was no investigation into this. There was an immediate cover-up put into play.
That's what y'all get, being grimy. Happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that after this case is over and the feds come out with everything, because they're not going to close their case when they're going to sit here and they're going to watch this absolute circus that the Commonwealth is putting on. It's just making their case against everything that much stronger. So once this case is over, I mean, I don't see how this could result in anything other than a not guilty verdict. And then I think after that, then the feds will close their case, and then we might start to see some truth come out in this.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna let y'all not explain, but more so just give y'all positions. We kind of understand where y'all stand, but matter of fact, let me go first. I thought she was guilty, and I don't believe it at all. She's innocent to me, and I just hope she is found innocent. And I want to say thank y'all for putting me onto this, because I can't believe it. It was bothering me. This trial was bothering me, where before I go to sleep, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, why is this? Not that it's affected my life to that degree, but it was bothering me, where I'm like, they're going to try to bury her, and it was just bothering me. So I want to thank y'all for that, and thank y'all for beating up AI. AI had no chance. The questions or the concerns AI had, y'all demolished them. So I appreciate that. And if there's anything y'all want to say, y'all say it now.
I mean, I obviously am an avid Karen Reed supporter. I do not think that there is any way that she can be found not guilty on this. And I just hope that there is an end to this circus very soon, because what she's been going through, what her family has had to go through because of this, is just heartbreaking. I mean, her entire life has been turned upside down because they thought that, to quote one of the text messages, they could pin it on the girl, and that she was just going to roll over and take a plea, and it was not going to result in everything that has gone on so far.
Tenisha, you got anything to say? Thank you, David. Thank you for tuning in. You too, Latoria. Wait, let me see. Victoria, sorry.
I'm excited to hear what the defense has. I think it's their case. They're gonna win this, but there's so much corruption. But with the FBI looking into things, I'm just excited to hear. I mean, this case is so ridiculous. Like, I can't wait to hear not guilty. That's what I can't wait to hear. But I want to see what happens next. Who are they gonna go after?
Yeah. Well, share how you feel. If you're tuning in after the live, just let us know what you think. Do you think she's guilty? Do you think she's being framed? And if you think she's guilty, why do you think she's guilty? With everything they just said, how can you really argue against it? Please share your opinion. We would love to know. And for us that feel she's being framed, I now have to say it. Free Karen Reed. Please.
Free Karen Reed. Thank you guys so much for having me be a part of this. I had a lot of fun with it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.